Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to my small creator stream. And today, as I hope you've seen by now, I will be looking at some stuff from Fenris Games. Just before I get started doing anything else, I'm just going to say that I'm not sponsored to do this. Everything that I'll be painting and showing you, I've bought myself. Yeah, no transactions going on behind the scenes, so we're all good. All the views that I express will just be my own personal views of what's going on. I should have said that last week, and I forgot. There we are. Okay, so I've got plenty to be looking at and showing you today. I'll be around about for an hour or so, so hopefully you can stick around with me for then. But it's great to have you popping in, even if you can't stay for the whole hour. And I'll be doing some painting. I'll be showing you some pieces which I have already painted, and I'll also be showing you some amazing pieces which are still on my to paint list that I'm kind of working towards. So you can see here, this is what I'm going to be working on today. So I've got some drystone wall which I'm going to be working on. It's of all the pieces that I'm going to show you, it may not be the grandest or most exciting, but I really love these pieces. I'll explain a bit more later on, and hopefully it will give you some ideas for how to paint some of the other bits and pieces which we've got to show you. So that's what I'm going to be painting across the stream. As I say, I've also got some some huge pieces actually to show you, which are fantastic. I love them. The other reason I've chosen to do these pieces is because I genuinely think, in my opinion, Fenris Games is the guy behind Fenris Games. This genuinely is a small business. Does the sculpting of a lot of the terrain pieces himself. I think most of them, it's fair to say, and I love the stonework on all the stuff. I think it's the best stonework that I've come across. So it's fantastic for that. Fenris Games do lots of stuff, not just terrain pieces, but I love the terrain so much. That's why I always end up buying. So that's what I'll be showing you a lot of today. And we'll be kind of going from there. But as I say, I'm going to do some painting on these. I think hopefully it will be usable in other pieces that you might want to paint. But by the end of this, hopefully we'll get some of these to a nice tabletop standard. You can probably see here, I've already primed this with a grey spray primer, just to show you. Here's another piece of a thing, so you can see that's the difference in colour. That's kind of the colour it started, and that's the colour it's finished. Grey's a good classic primer colour for anything stoneworky, that kind of thing. I've shown you on previous streams how just with some ink and some dry brushing you can turn this into a perfectly serviceable tabletop wall, but we're going to do a few other things today just to kind of see how it goes, and hopefully some other stuff. I'm gonna get cracking with this quite quickly because it is going to take some time to dry in between. But I'm going to show you one of the painted pieces quickly first, because this will give you an idea of what we're working towards. So this is a slightly extreme example, but this is a Fenris Games piece that I've painted. So this is a dwarven fire tower. It comes with a little fire to go on the top. Which I haven't got here because I'm kind of showing you the brickwork. I also have a big base, like a hill for it to go on, which I haven't painted, so I can't show you that as a painted example just yet. But this is kind of the look that we're going for. It's a bit more varied in colour. We're very lucky in the UK for inspiration for these things, because you can find dry stone wall in a lot of different places in the UK, mostly rural places, but along the side of roads, marking out fields, all that kind of stuff. So yeah, it's fairly easy to find the inspiration. The actual stone which goes into dry stone walling varies based on where you are. So different parts of the UK have different coloured stones and that kind of thing. But so we're going to work on doing some different colours. This piece actually the painting was inspired by a trip around Edinburgh that I took, and found some photos with really, like colours all over the place. But you can see here the beautiful kind of brickwork and the unevenness that really it would be indicative of kind of towers of this type, which is great. So I'll show you the other painted pieces I have in a little bit, but I just wanted to show you that because that's the kind of general area that we're going for. And I will get my wet palette in so you can kind of see what I'm doing. So I had a start on mixing up some. I'm basically doing these almost as glazes. So you can see this one's kind of almost split, but we can get that back together nice and easily. So I've started doing some of these colours. You can see that they're very, very thin, which is kind of what I want for this, for going into those pieces of brickwork. So I started doing that. I'm going to do a couple more colours. You can see how bright some of these colours are that I'm going to be using. I am going to put a wash over the top later on, so it will kind of dampen it down. But if you have a look, I was going to show a picture of some drystone wool as a kind of inspiration point. And then I thought, I really don't want to get in trouble with copyright either on here or eventually this will go on YouTube. So I didn't want to get in trouble. But if you just Google drystone wool, you can see that there is a huge variation in the colours. So I'm happy to put some of these really bright colours in to begin with. I'm also using a lot of Instar paint. You'll have seen me in the past using some of this. This is another quite a small company. And for this, I'm actually using Water Plus to water this down. Now, normally, if you've seen my streams, you'll know I normally just water down my paints with just water, tap water. Water Plus is created by Instar Paints, and I haven't used it very much, so this is kind of a test, really. But the design of it is such that it has the composition of it is supposed to keep the paint together better. So if you put a lot of water into paint, it just kind of, the pigment splits, as you've seen actually with that one. It kind of splits and it goes all a bit weird and funny. So this is designed not to do that. So I'm using that to see how it goes. And literally all I'm doing to get the kind of level of kind of glaze that I'm going for is we put down a couple of dots of paint onto my wet palette. Obviously this will be getting a little bit of kind of standard water, if you like, just from being on the wet palette. But then we add, again, literally just a couple of drops of the Water Plus. And if you've seen my video on brush care and things, you'll know it's a good idea to use a really knackered old brush when you're kind of mixing your paints, because it's so easy to get the paint up to the top of the kind of brushes up under the ferrule. I don't know why I always say that as if it's some incredibly posh word, but you can see there that's gone really thin, which is kind of what we're looking for. So we'll have that. That again is a very kind of deep red. That's described as wine red, that colour. But I think it will work nicely. And I'm going to use some flesh tone because, again, it's the kind of colour that you would find with these. And what I'm going to do when the time comes is I'm going to do them kind of all at the same time so that they can dry as they go. And I'm going to start with the kind of more standard colours and put them in most. They're going to be the most prevalent on the pieces. But then the less usual colours will be scattered about in there to add the variety and to kind of make it look like one of those different looks of wool. So that's what we're going for. I'm mostly going to be leaving the top to be kind of grey, because I can leave stones in the grey of the primer as well, because they'll also take the wash and the dry brush, which I'll be doing later on. Because I think they look quite slaty, and I think slate would be mostly grey rather than the brighter colours. But there we go, we'll do one more, I think. We'll go for a really bright red. So I'm leaning towards the kind of reds of the palette. So that would be the kind of area of stone that I'm looking for. I have to say I'm not a geologist, so my knowledge of stones is not what it might be beyond colours. But yeah, then let's add a little bit of this Water Plus. Drop that in there. The Instar paints are quite thin already, so I don't need loads. And there you go. Really loose and flowing really nicely. So yeah, we've got a good variety of colours there. I'm glad you like that towel, by the way. I was pleased with it. I feel like sometimes when I look at it, I feel like it's maybe gone a little too far, which is why I'm probably going to tone this one down just a little bit. But I do like the different look rather than just having the kind of grey, which can look great, but you know, it just kind of gives it something a little bit different. Well, you can reserve judgment for what you think at the end, but hopefully, yeah, I'm pretty confident that these will work well. So the colours that I put in before you got here, just so you know, I've got some Stonewall Grey from who's this by Vallejo. That's this first one. So that will probably be the one I use most. I've also got some Karak Stone from Games Workshop, some Banana Yellow from Instar, and some Dark Peach also from Instar. So that's what we're going to go for. Okay, so we're going to crack on and do some first bits of painting on these walls, and then when that's drying, I will I will show you some of the other bits and pieces that I've got here. But it's a good idea to get these things going early, otherwise there's no chance of me getting any more work done on them a bit later on. Now, one of the joys of doing terrain for me is you don't necessarily need, not the eye for detail, that's not fair, because, you know, obviously I've already been thinking about what the different colours are and how we're going to use them and things. So it's not about attention for detail exactly, but you don't have to be super precise. It doesn't matter if you go over a little bit, because these are natural rocks. We're looking to do all kinds of different colours and shades, so we don't have to worry about that. Yeah, it's. I feel like at the end of the process, if you still feel like my walls are reminding you of a dessert, then maybe I haven't gone right. But I can certainly see what you mean at this point. Either that or like a clown's face. But it does go to show how much difference it makes when you're putting like the washes on. I'm not going to be putting vast amounts of the bright colours on. I will be really taking most of the paint off, so that it's just kind of giving a little hint. As I say, I kind of want it to be more like a glaze than anything else, so that it just gives a hint of that colour rather than it being really bright. But I'm not obeying any particular pattern while I'm putting this stuff on. As I say, I will use these kind of more traditional stone colours more heavily than I'll use the others. And I'll also be leaving some of the stones in the grey of the primer. And we'll just kind of, I'll be doing whatever kind of tickles my fancy really as I go along. I probably won't actually paint all of these as we're going along, because it will be a lot of time just doing that. But it will give you an idea. I'll do certainly this long piece. I'll do a couple of the end pieces. I'll show you as well in a little bit. Once this is drying, I'll show you the entry on the webpage so you can know what this is. But this is a drystone wall set that I've got here, and I think, let me just have a look. As I say, I will show you. Yeah, it's £14 for all of this stuff that you can see here, which I think is a very good deal. So let's keep going with that. Yeah, I think that's obviously it's great to be able to support small creators, but I think also you can find some amazing deals out there when you're not paying the premium of the name of brands of some of these places, which can really add up. Plus, also, I know this is to some degree self-inflicted on the UK. Well, no, it's self-inflicted on the UK, but not on the people that are actually struggling at the moment. But obviously, with Brexit at the moment, it's a really tough time for small businesses of all sorts in the UK. I'm not going to get started on Brexit because I probably won't finish within the hour, but it's fair to say that it was not something I was in favour of. But yes, that means that UK manufacturers of all sorts are just having a really tough time at the moment. So if you can help and support, it's always greatly appreciated. So we've got some of this Stonewall Grey on here. This probably will be the strongest colour that I'll put in, because obviously this is the most standard. Well, given that it's called Stonewall Grey, you'd expect it to work pretty well for stone walls. But we'll put it in. And as I say, no no plan particularly. I'm just kind of picking out where I think it will look good as we go through. So trying to make sure that we've got some good, fairly even coverage, because I don't think it makes too much sense for it to be all clustered in a particular area or anything. I think if you were feeling particularly adventurous and particularly geological, you could have a look and try and make all the same stones the same colour and things. But having already noted that I'm not a geologist, I'm not going to attempt to do anything along those lines. But we'll start getting that in place. And then we'll move on to the Karak stone, and then we'll start seeing how those really bright colours come in. I know that's now what everyone's on tenterhooks for, to see how it will look once the really bright colours start going down. You don't care about the Stonewall Grey, do you? It's that bright red you want to see. So I'll get these in here. Okie dokie. So that's this one done. I may actually even only just do this one, because I'm aware that in an hour I want to get quite a lot done. So I don't want you to just have to watch me putting grey onto a wall for minutes and minutes on end. Okie dokie. So yeah, again, we've got that kind of spread out across. Let's put in a couple more because, as I say, I want this to be one of the predominant colours. Okie dokie. Right, so there we go. So we've got some of that grey in. Yeah, I appreciate the vote of confidence, Madeline. So yeah, we've got that grey kind of in there now, and you can see, I mean, it's starting to look like a kind of slightly mosaic based wall with different types of stone in there, which is ultimately the look that we're going for. So give the brush a little wash. I have to say, this is again, I'm using a slightly older brush for this, and it doesn't matter too much if I'm actually mixing the paints a little bit here. It's good practice not to do that, but just mixing the paints a little bit, obviously, because we're not going for those bright pure colours. You can again just have fun with it. Really, don't stress yourself out about making it look perfect or anything. But we'll get some of the other paints on, and you can see here actually, even already this one, it's very light. So the idea is not that we're completely blocking in the colour. It's more that we're just kind of giving a hint to it. So yeah, you'll see this even more when we come to the later colours. But we really don't want banana yellow big bricks in the middle of this. This one is Karak stone at the moment. I'm not to banana yellow yet. But you don't want the stones to actually look banana yellow. You just kind of want them to have that little hint of that brighter yellow to them. Put some of this in here, and we'll keep moving along. As I say, I kind of want probably at least half of the stones to be. Again, I'm not making you a dessert. Deary me. Yeah, so I probably want about half of the stones to be in just these two colours, which are the most kind of standard brick-like colours. So we'll put them. We do have to be a little bit careful here because the paint is watered down. I don't want it just flowing into the cracks. Because that's going to be kind of mortar or something along those lines to keep these things together. Sometimes these walls would just be kind of gravity kept in place, but either way, what we're not looking to do is really lighten up those darker, shadowy areas. We're looking to get some paint on the bricks themselves. And what we can do as well is once we've got these colours down, I'm going to be putting a wash on, and I'm going to be doing a dry brush. If at that point I decide actually we do need a bit more yellow or a bit more of something else, then we can go back in and put a little bit more on, because again it's so light and loose that it's not the end of the world if we put some over the top of the other stuff going on. Yeah, randomized effects on anything can be really hard. The human brain is not really set up very well to do random. So I try hard to kind of make it look random. But I guess the advantage of that from a painting point of view is the brain of the person looking at your piece is also not set up to see random. So it doesn't really matter. I think because we see patterns where there aren't patterns, or no, that's not fair. We see patterns where that the pattern is not reflective of a greater meaning. It's not the correlation and causation and all that jazz. It means that we don't actually have to paint in a random way, because in a truly random effect, lots of times you'd see these things together because they would end up being together if it was truly random. But the eye and the way the kind of the painter looks at it, but also the person looking at the piece will see it in a more random way. It's a very strange effect, really. But yeah, I think don't worry too much about, for want of a better term, perfect randomness, because that's going to be essentially impossible. But what you're looking for is, I guess also it's fair to say that it would have been a human being who was putting it together, who, it may not have been random when they were doing it. There's your excuse, if nothing else. The person putting it together wasn't doing it randomly, so I didn't paint it randomly. I've written a whole backstory for this piece of wall. It's great. Okay, so it looks a little patchy in places where I've been putting this on, but again, that's not a major issue because we'll be going over it. we'll be putting the washes and the dry brushes and everything over it. So it's just giving that hint of colour for when we're later bringing those colours down again. Okay, so yeah, character development. I like it. So we give the brush a wash, and next we're going to be moving on to banana yellow. I'm going to crack through doing these first layers of paint quite quickly because I'll need them all to dry before I can do the next thing. But as I say, I've got plenty of other things to show you, so I'm going to try and do these nice and quickly. But yeah, as we go along, there'll be there will be fewer bricks to paint in each colour. So we'll get some of this banana yellow, which is just going to be a little bit of a kind of brighter yellow than that last one that we had. And of course, you can mix these together if you want. You can mix some of the stone and the banana. There can't be many walks of life where that's true. But yeah, you can just see we're starting to line up those bricks. I'll just do 3 or 4. And as I say, it's not a problem if we end up with bricks left in the original prime colour, because that's also great. That's why I did it that way. And that will also take the dry brush and the wash. So let's crack on and get these last few colours done. And then let's be honest, you're all excited to see the cool terrain pieces that I've got to show you, and they are really cool. As I say, if ever I want to buy terrain for my tabletop or just for painting, Fenris Games is very much the first place that I go to for that, because I love their stuff. Okay, so that's some banana-iness in. So now we're going to go to the peach. Oh, you're very welcome. I just speak the truth. And yeah, we'll go in. And so I'm going to show you some other pieces as well later on, because I'm nothing if not ambitious of what I can fit in an hour. I'm going to show you some other pieces from the site, which I'm hoping to get in the not too distant future, but we'll have to see. So yeah, this again, we're going in with the peach, but it is just the lightest of touches with the peach. You can see it is changing the colour of the stones, but barely. We don't, again, you're not looking for bright peach stones. What you're looking for is just a hint of peach to where your stones already are. So yeah, I'm rattling through these a bit. I mean, I'm going to put a little bit more of the deeper reds on, because it does, I think, provide a nice bit of contrast. Not necessarily more in terms of bricks, but just a little bit stronger colour. But I mean, red is one of my favourite colours, so I'm always happy to go in with some red. Okay, that's some peach. So this is the really dark red, which we're going to go in with next. But you can see, I think already, you can see that kind of mosaic effect building up. I can see here I'm not very have a Man United branded wall. Yeah, it's a good idea. I'll just put it like round a pitch that I'm building. For anyone who doesn't know, I'm a Man United fan for my sins. I am a big football fan as well as being a massive geek. So let's get some of this darker, like wine colour going in. I feel like I haven't got too much going on down this side here. So you can see there that we're just, I did promise I was going to go in with a little more. So it's still not heavy by any means, but I shouldn't have been looking at the camera and then painting a bit of wall by accident. The perils of streaming. But yeah, you can see it again, just kind of tinting it more than anything else. It's not going in really strong. That's why we took the time to water everything down early. And I think I would say I feel like the Water Plus is doing pretty well at the moment. Although I don't have a direct comparison for it. It feels like it's doing pretty well at keeping my paints usable for longer periods. There we are. Let's get that side done. So you can see, as I say, you can actually do these quite quickly because you're not going over areas that you've already painted. You can get the colours laid down quite quickly. The drying time is going to be once I've put all this colour in to let it dry down, because I don't want to either dry brush it or put a shade on it while it's wet, because both would just mess up all the hard work that you've put in already. So you do have to be careful with that kind of thing. But yeah, once that's dry. Unfortunately, we've got the same issue as we've had before. I'm in Scotland, I don't feel the cold, so the heating is not on. So who knows how long it will take to dry. There we are, just that hint of... Oh, very nearly washed my brush in my coffee. That would not have been good for me. Yeah, so we've got then this... what have we got? I've lost track of the order I've done things in. I think this is the flesh colour, actually, I'm going to go in with next. Yeah, so this is bronzed flesh again from Instar, and again, I think it's it's definitely a trick of, I'm far from saying that I'm a super experienced painter. I like to think that the streams kind of give you ideas, give you things to work with. I would never claim to be a great expert. There are people who have been doing this longer than I have and create amazing results. But I think hopefully this just kind of gives you some ideas. And I think one of the things that I learned in mini painting is in the early days you kind of think, oh, this is a flesh tone, I need to only use it for flesh. But I mean, paint is paint, it's just different colours, isn't it? So you kind of learn to trust your instincts, trust your own eye for colour, rather than just go for exactly the uses that it tells you should be doing them for. Okay, we'll just put in a couple more here, and then this really bright red I am literally just going to use on a couple of bricks to give it that real kind of pop with the eye, because as I've said multiple times, this is going to dull down. It's not going to look like a dessert, I hope, at the end of all this. That would be unfortunate. If all else fails, I just say I'm decorating a cake. We're all good. But nothing, unless you put so much paint on, you're losing detail, which is essentially never going to happen when you're using paint this watered down. Nothing is irreparable, really, in mini painting. If all else fails, I mean, you can always try and strip off the paint and go again, or really, you can just paint over it. There you go. So you can see that really bright red in just a couple of places to draw the eye. I think one of the things that I really like about this set is that because it is modular, you can use it for if you've got. So originally I started painting for role-playing games, so for battle maps and things like that. And this is great for, if you've got a road, you want to mark the edge of the road. If you've got a field, anything like that, you can assemble it in different ways. And one of the things that I'm going to investigate for this and some of the other stuff that I'm doing, I'm going to show you later on, is using magnets, because I love the modular nature of these things. That's one of the things that really attracts me to it. Is you don't have to stick these together and great, I've got a field. Now I can only use it whenever I need a field. So the use of magnets allows you to attach and detach things as much as you want, which is a really useful thing to be able to do with all these things. Okay, so we're going to let this dry. I will keep an eye on it to see how long it takes. Because the paint was very watered down, it will take a while, but it's also very little used in most places, so I don't think we've got too much to worry about. So we'll place that to one side for now, and I'm going to show you some of the other things that we have from Fenris Games. As I say, it's essentially all terrain at this point, because I'm just a sucker for the terrain. Yeah, there really is. If you guys are sticking around to the end, you can help me choose what my next purchase is going to be. There you go. There's power for you. So we'll get the website up a little bit. So I've shown you this tower. That's kind of the basis of where we're going with the walls. A little bit different. Obviously, I've used slightly different colours, but that's basically the basis of what we're doing. I also have here a slightly different thing. So time for just a little brag. So I entered this at the end of last year. There was a competition for painted pieces from Fenris Games, and I won the Twitter vote, which was really nice. I was so honoured that people on Twitter liked my stuff and kind of wanted to engage with it and things, which was amazing. But this is an Egyptian archway from Fenris Games. Obviously, everything I'm going to show you is. So you can see here all of the hieroglyphics, but because it's old, it's kind of a little bit ruined as well. But it's a beautiful piece. I love this piece, and I hope that you like what I've done with it. But yeah, I was very pleased with how it turned out, and it was amazing to have the kind of validation, I guess, of people on Twitter. So that was really nice. Another thing I painted was this ruined no rune. Wait, come on, brain, sort it out for me. Pentagram altar. Uh, oh, this is one of the oldest miniatures in the range. Wow, it's absolutely beautiful. I really love it. Yeah, and it was a pleasure to paint as well. Um, so then we have the runed pentagram altar, which is again I really like it. It's I've gone here for the more basic stone effect because I kind of didn't want the stone to draw the eye away from the pentagram at the top, and you can see there all of the really intricate detail and gold. I did at the time that I painted this, I put it up for sale to try and um, help out through a difficult time, but no one wanted to buy it. So what can you do? I'll try again at some point. But yeah, it hasn't sold. I did go in and put some kind of bits of mold effects and things like that. But I think this is a really cool piece. This just as like a something for your tabletop games or something is beautiful. So those three are the kind of painted pieces that I have for you, and this is going to show you quite how much I am a sucker for buying this stuff quicker than I can paint it, because I've got quite a few other bits and pieces to show you. So I'm going to start with one of the things that I got most recently, which was nearly knocked a drink over, which was from the Rubble City range, which comes well. I've put it into this very glamorous and professional box, but this is one of the pieces that I showed you earlier. But again, one of the things that I love about this is the modularity, which I've decided is a word, whether it is or not, because these like go together. So I'm still trying to decide whether I actually want to put these together in a full piece or keep them modular so I can build different things, because both of the ways of doing it have an appeal to me. But this is from the Rubble City, and I love the fact that, as I say, you can just build it in a number of different ways. Let's just put that over here for a second. So let's do like this. There you go. There's a slightly bigger area of rubble. There's a the only trouble is I have to line up the 3 sides and the 4 sides. There's a slightly larger still area, and this one has a door in it. Obviously it's a little bit loose at this point because I'm not doing it, but that's again a great example of the modular effect. And I've also got little bits of wood to kind of slatting to go across that and things, which is great. So again, absolutely love that. I think it's a great way of doing it, and when you get it together, it's just like the wall is continuing, but because you can do it however you want, it's great from that point of view. So yeah, I've got that sitting on my to paint pile, and I'm building up to the biggest thing that I have to show you. But next up, we have this dwarven. Oh, the name of it has completely escaped me at this point. But this kind of comes apart. I dropped one of these just through in the other room and then didn't go back and pick it up because I was about to start on the stream. But so again, this so I haven't even glued this one together yet. But this is a dwarven kind of fortress kind of area. There's the door. This is let's see, what have I got here that's a good model to show you the size. You'll do. That's a Reaper miniature. So this builds up to make a dwarf fortress. There you go. Oh, so inadvertently I got it right. So these do actually go in specific places, and I've now taken them all out. But even so, you can see the general idea. But I put it off long enough. I'm going to show you the huge piece that I have sitting next to me here, which is just beautiful. It's an amazing piece. And it's one of those that I've almost put off because it's such a cool piece. This is so big, I'm going to show you a different camera angle briefly. That's how exciting it is. Let's see. Yeah, that'll work. So, we're going to try and not drop this. I might have to stand up and show you this. It's an absolute beast. Let's see if just sitting back at it, you can see my Star Trek t-shirt. There you are. But it's an absolutely beautiful tower. And actually this will have steps going around the outside for people to climb up, but I haven't got them attached. Since as you can see, I haven't touched it. This is another one that I really want to do with magnets, because I will show you on the other camera in a second, but it actually has details inside as well. So just in case you think it's a trick of the camera, that's a miniature. So it's absolutely enormous. And as I said, this is not an advert or anything like that, but this whole tower here is £65. Now, obviously 65, it's not super cheap, if you know, but if you compare that to what you'd get for a similar price from some of the big manufacturers, that's a steal. It really is. Right, I'm going to switch back to the other camera so that I can show you. So this is the top layer. You can see it's got a wooden floor, it's got a barrel there, which is yeah, just having this level of detail inside. So we'll take that next layer down. That's a little living quarters. So that's all sculpted in there as well. We're going to keep moving down. Next layer again. So this is where the kind of outside door is. So this is where the steps run up to when I've built them in. And so there's the door. But you can see, again, the level of detail inside is just amazing compared to, you know, what you might find on the outside of some places. It's just beautiful. And then we kind of keep going. So that's the next ring down. And then the bottom piece on its own is a weighty piece. Yeah, absolutely. The level of detail is amazing. And the sculpting on this, as I say, there's a reason that I go to Fenris Games first for the terrain. And as I say, £65, obviously, you know, it's not an insignificant amount of money, but compare that to what you could get from some of the kind of big manufacturers and places like that. You can see I haven't even properly cleaned this off for painting yet, but I will do. Yeah, so it kind of it stacks up. So that's the bottom layer. Next layer, one more layer. I'm going to hit the camera if I'm not careful, but it just keeps going. There you go. You can see inside. So yeah, this is just one of my favourite pieces. I've had it in my to paint pile for a while because I don't want to say intimidated, but it's such a beautiful piece that you kind of want to do things like that justice. And yeah, I want to make sure. But I am giving my patrons, I've decided today, I'm going to give my patrons the chance to choose which of a few bigger projects I'm going to engage in. So I'm doing my mini of the day, every day at the moment. And I'm going to let my patrons choose which kind of big projects I'm going to do over sort of a month or something like that. And this is going to be one of the options. It's going to come up, so because it will be for sort of a month, I'll do them every so often. So it's a good reason to be a patron of mine. So that there'll be a vote, and you can choose which big project I do alongside the minis that I'm doing every day, and this will be one of the options. So yeah, sooner or later, I think it's bound to get the vote. So yeah, I'll be tackling this hopefully at some point this year. But as I say, it's beautiful, and my plan is to get some magnets, get some drilling going on, and magnetize the pieces together, so that I don't have to. Because it's a shame to stick all this together, because you lose all of that cool effect and cool sculpting on the inside. But with magnets, you can have the tower. You don't need to worry quite so much about throwing it all over the place, and you can use it to its full effect, I think. So yeah, that's going to be a big old project. and that's one of the things of doing like the mini a day stuff is that yeah, you have to take a bit more time thinking about what those big projects are going to be, but that's going to be one of the options. Okay, so let's have a check-in on our wall. So yeah, I'm pretty happy with how dry that is. So you can see there that it's very much multicolored at this point. So what I'm going to do next is I'm actually going to hit that with a dry brush to give that, when doing all stone, just that little bit of dry brushing, bringing out all these kind of white areas, just kicks it up a notch. And so that's what we're going to do for all the grey parts and all the coloured parts. It's going to help to kind of bring it together as well, rather than it looking like all separate things that have recently been stuck together, because these walls will have been standing for years and years and years. So it kind of gives it that continuity as well, and makes it look like a unified piece. So we're going to get to that. So my preferred dry brush for doing these is Terminator Stone from Citadel, from Games Workshop. There are many stone paints out there. I just find for the actual dry brushing, this is perfect because it's not so bright white that it really kind of catches the eye, but it really gives that effect of the kind of worn and torn corners, which is kind of what we're going for. And because we'll be, I don't know, I'm shaking that, it's a dry brush paint, so it's solid, pretty solid in there. Because the dry brush will be just hitting the kind of top layers of detail, it kind of is what's giving it that lived-in old look. I know that's what gives me the lived-in old look, all those grey bits. So we'll kind of hit that, and hopefully that will start to just kind of bring it together, and as I say, make it look a bit more like a single coherent piece rather than lots of separate areas. I'm not too worried about going in quite heavily with this to begin with, because again, as I say, I will be getting a wash on there. But you can see just that little area that I've done. Yeah, I should be dry brushing myself grey. That's the issue. You can see the difference already. It's looking much more like a wall and much less like some random colours stuck together. So we'll keep going with that. It's dry brushing is a nice, quick, easy few seconds of work. Dry brushing and using washes is particularly for someone who's trying to paint quick or a newcomer to painting, is an absolute godsend, because it's for just a few seconds work you can get really good results. I know some people look down on dry brushing. Probably it's the kind of thing that if you're looking to win a Golden Demon award, which is like the highest award for painting Warhammer miniatures, certainly, you're probably not going to do it by dry brushing, but I'm not trying to do that. I'm trying to have fun. I'm trying to get miniatures for my tabletop, and so for me, dry brushing is a great tool to be able to use in that. It doesn't work for every miniature. It's not that an answer to everything, but I have a bit of you can probably tell, I have a bit of an issue with the kind of snobbery of miniature painting or anything else that says some techniques are inherently better than others. It's all about the results you're getting, and if it's doing what you want it to do and giving you the look that you want, then keep doing it and keep enjoying it. That's my take on it. So we'll just keep doing that. The only trouble with these is I'm finding it difficult to find a spot to hold, because obviously it's kind of painted all over. I'm not painting the end at the moment particularly, so you'll see that they're kind of plain grey. They got primed because I was spray primed, but because I'm going to be putting them together, I'm going to be probably putting magnets in eventually. There's no point in making them look all beautiful, because as soon as I magnetize that and put another piece next to it, you don't see it anyway, so not a lot of point in doing that. So we'll keep working on this, smash through, and there we are. Give it that worn look. There we go. So yeah, as I say, it's already kind of started that process of bringing it together, but the wash will really do that as well. I don't know if I'll have time to do all of this on the stream because we've only got 15 minutes left. In fact, I almost undoubtedly won't have time to do all this on the stream. But my plan is to hit it with quite this. Didn't mean to hit it literally. Is to go in with the quite a heavy dry brush at this point, which is what I'm doing right now, to really pick up all of those edges, give us that look that we're looking for. Then go in with a black wash, so I'll be using Null Oil from Games Workshop because that's the one that I happen to have. That will take a long time to dry again because it's a wash, so that's why I won't be able to finish this on the stream. But the Null Oil will go on, and that will start to bring it together. And I'll then go back in with another much lighter dry brush to bring up some of those light colours again. And then what I'll do is use a brown wash, but just selectively on the surface. I won't go all over because again, it's kind of giving it that variation where some areas will be more affected by the dirt and the dust and everything else going on than others. What you can do when you've done all of that is start to put some green and some moss onto the stones, because that can certainly look like that it's been standing there a long time and it's got damp and all those things. I certainly won't have time to do that on the stream today, but we'll see. I think I'll see what the effect looks like once I finish this, and just see if that's what I want to do. I mentioned on a recent stream, I think it was on my stream on Tuesday, that I rarely go into a miniature knowing exactly what paints I'm going to use for the entire thing. I kind of go into it knowing the general effect that I want, rather than the exact paint, because then it allows me to adapt and change and do things slightly differently on the fly. Again, I think probably that's a luxury of having been painting for a bit longer, and that's not necessarily something that a completely new painter would feel comfortable doing. But I think you grow into it, and I think it's helpful then to say, once I've done this, okay, well, what do I think of this? Does it need more? Will that start to take away from the overall effect rather than add to it? Will there be too much colour competing going on if I start to add green moss, that kind of thing? Okay, so that's how we're looking at the moment. And again, I hope at this point you can kind of see wall more than desert. if I achieve looks more like a wall than a desert, I feel like I've achieved something. So yeah, it's definitely started to come together. Dry brushing doesn't take nearly as long to dry because of the name. The paint is already pretty dry, but we do want to just give it a minute just to chill out a bit. And because it is 10:02 at this point, I'm going to switch over to. We're going to have a look at the Fenris Games website. I realise I haven't actually told you the web address just yet, which is just fenrisgames.com. Nice and easy, no punctuation in there. And also, I would strongly recommend following on Twitter, and again, that's just at Fenris Games. Nice and easy. Not like me, who has Goblin Squire in some places and Goblin Squire Creations in other places. There we go. Nice link in the Twitch chat. And if you're watching on YouTube, I'll put a link in the description down below. But in the meantime, we're going to pop over. So just beware that just for a second... everyone was going to do it. Just for a second, we're going to get some kind of weird Inception thing because I'm changing the view to show my screen. But I'll drag stuff over so it will hopefully not look so weird for very long. So here we go. So this is the set that I've been painting, and you can see actually on the website there's a little bit of variation, not quite to the extreme that I've done it, but again, this gives you that idea of different stones, different effects on there. This looks fantastic. So I really like that. So that's the set that I've been painting, which is £14, as you can see. I won't. Sorry, I'm just going to move that over there so I can see the chat. There we are. So I won't hazard a guess at what postage costs are post Brexit, unfortunately. But I mean, have a nice big order. It will make your postage that much easier. So this is what I've been painting. Now I'm gonna ask for your input on which thing I should get next. So I mentioned that I was very fortunate enough to win the contest on Twitter, and the very generous price of that was actually a voucher to be used in the Fenris Games store. So I have a choice of two main things. Then I love the bases and everything. All the little bits and pieces are fantastic. But I'm just going to show you the kind of big thing. So there's two options I'm thinking, and you have to tell me what you think I should go for. And then if it's something that people are interested in, I will paint what I get on streams later on, across a few streams probably, because I don't fancy doing these in one stream. But here are the two choices. Are you ready? The first is the Engineer's Cottage, which is so cute and sweet and just, yeah, you can see again the stonework here is amazing, but you can see there's a little bit of kind of mechanical metal stuff going on there. Yeah, it's so sweet. It's approximately 75 millimeters tall. So most miniatures nowadays are between 28 and 32 millimeters. So it's a little over 2 miniatures tall, I would say. So that looks so sweet and cute. The other thing that I'm thinking is this Lost Shores Oracle, which I mean, you can see the size of this, can't you? That is a serious piece of kit. 58-piece kit. Yeah, absolutely huge. 3/4 of a kilo of resin. That is a monster. That is. So that, I mean, that we're talking kind of, to me, on the same kind of scale as this huge tower that I've got here. So yeah, those are kind of the two bits that I'm thinking. Obviously, you can see this. So this one is £48. So £48 for 3/4 of a kilo of resin, 58-piece kit. I mean, you can't beat that, can you? Let's be honest. You probably. I'm not picking on Games Workshop because I do paint Games Workshop stuff. I do quite like their stuff, but you probably get about a tree for that from Games Workshop, I should think. So yeah, those are the kind of the two choices. So let me know what you think. What you think is a good one to go for. Obviously, as I say, there is a price difference. This one is £20. I know the answer is to buy both of them, but unfortunately I'm not really in a place to do that at the moment. So that will have to wait. But yeah, those are the two choices that I will leave you with for the time being. But while you while you think about that, I'm going to switch back to the cam, and again we're going a bit Inception-y for a second, but there we are. So we're back to this, and I'm gonna put some wash onto this. So let's have a look. Here we go. Here's some Nuln Oil, which is the black wash from Games Workshop. There we are. And yeah, as I say, I'm happy to, if it's something people would be interested in, I'm happy to paint whichever one I end up getting on streams. Or at least kind of do updates maybe of the painting of it on streams, because I do have, I've given myself quite a tight streaming schedule of different bits and pieces. Yeah, we'll see how it goes. But I would certainly enjoy painting either of them, which is why I've put them on there. Okay, so let's get this Nuln Oil on here. And again, this is where, so we've seen the effect of the Terminator stone in bringing up the white of these areas. But now you'll see how this kind of darkens and mutes everything down a bit as well. And again, with the goal really of not of making it completely uniform, but with the goal of just bringing it together and making it feel kind of coherent. So there we are, and you can see again that that's just bringing those colours together. And then, as I say, I will go in with another light dry brushing of Terminator stone towards the end, just to bring up a few of those light colours again, which we might lose a little bit of by doing the wash. But we're bringing it together nicely. This, coincidentally, will be my miniature of the day today. I've started keeping track of the different manufacturers that I've been painting minis of the day from. You may have seen on Twitter, you can't take the researcher out of me. I made a little pie chart of the different creators. So, but that allows me to keep an eye, and I do want to make sure that I'm painting plenty of stuff from small creators, because that is one of my passions. I painted something from Bad Squiddo Games yesterday, which was awesome. That was an angry tree stump, because it was a busy day doing other things yesterday, so it was a quick paint at the end of the day. But yeah, so I want to make sure that I'm actually doing painting from different manufacturers and things, and not just talking the talk, but walking the walk as well. So there we are. Right, so that's that first side done, and yeah, you can see even those brightest reds have just started to darken down and look more natural. I think one of the things with doing this when you're painting for tabletop is it doesn't have to look 100% 100% natural or realistic. It has to look good from the distance you'd be looking at a tabletop from. I don't paint very much to sort of display standards when if I try to do that. If I'm painting for like a competition or something, I would do that. But yeah, most of the stuff that I paint is for tabletop standard, which is why my standard rate for painting a human is only £20 as a commission price, because I am only painting for tabletop, and I'm not making a pretense that the stuff that I'm doing on a day-to-day basis is more than that. But that's what I'm aiming for, and so that's kind of the niche that I'm looking to fill. So I'm happy with that. Okay, so yeah, you can see, as I say, this is just starting to bring it together. I think another kind of lesson that you learn as you go through painting is to anticipate the effect that some of these different layers are going to have. So roughly, not exactly because of the nature of these things, but roughly what something's going to look like when you've put a layer of wash on, or when you've done a dry brush or something like that. So it's another learning experience, and one that just takes time, and you just have to kind of develop over time. Unfortunately, there's no quick route to completing that. Okay, so that's both sides done. I haven't done the top yet because I've got to hold somewhere. I'm already getting paint all over me, but we'll do that. And then I think because it's now 2:57, so I will stop once I've done this, because it's intended to be an hour-long thing. I don't want to keep chatting away at everyone for too long in an afternoon. People have things to be doing and places to be and stuff. But yes, I've had a really good time talking to everybody and interacting. I do note that not many people, I know there's some lurkers in chat, because there always are, but not many people have been commenting about what they want me to paint, so I might have to follow up with people later on, chase them down. I know that's the trouble with knowing a few people outside Twitch. I'll get chased. But yeah, we'll figure out which the best one to do is. And then yeah, let me know if it is something that you'd like to see updates for on Twitch. My Saturday morning stream, I was supposed to give a quick shout out to that. My Saturday morning stream is my kind of chilled out one, which has the least structure to it generally week to week. But this week I will be chatting with Andy from Geek Curio. So yeah, he'll be on the stream. We'll be chatting. He's doing the mini a day stuff as well. So we'll be chatting about that, about his hobbying life, what gets him painting, all those things. He does lots of YouTube videos and things like that. So we'll be chatting a bit about that. But I'm also going to be using Saturday just for some more kind of general updates about what I'm doing. So if it is something that you'd like to see me paint over a period of time, I'll use my Saturday morning updates just to kind of talk about the progress I've made on different projects, things like that. I showed some miniatures from a company I hadn't bought any from before last week. I put some of them together, so I'll be showing them on the Saturday stream. So that's 10 a.m. GMT. As I say, this week chatting with Andy, about half an hour of the hour stream we'll be chatting. The other half an hour I'll be talking mini of the day. I'll be showing those minis, things like that. So lots of different things going on. Yeah, and if you've enjoyed this, whether you're watching on Twitch or on YouTube, I'd really appreciate a follow or a subscribe, or even both if you're feeling particularly generous. Yeah, but it's been an absolute pleasure having you with me for the hour. I hope you've enjoyed what we've done, and that maybe you've take something away about maybe doing things a little differently, or whatever it might be. And yeah, thank you for joining me. I will post photos of this once I've finished it later on today on Twitter, so keep an eye out for that. And yeah, hopefully I'll see you again at a stream very soon. Bye.